In today's episode of Total Recap, we'll cover the numerous attacks that happened during 9/11.
We also have a special segment called Where Were You on 9/11 with her.
Also, we have a special interview with a New York resident about her experiences on 9/11.
Warmer weather in the forecast. Stay tuned to see just how warm it'll be this weekend.
Streaming on the KTIG YouTube channel every week.
This episode of Total Recap starts now.
As you know, today is the 11th of September, the day that American Airlines Flight 11, United Airlines Flight 175, American Airlines Flight 77, and United Airlines Flight 93 were all hijacked by terrorist group Al-Qaeda, two of which were flown into the World Trade Center towers. One struck the Pentagon, and the other crashed into a field in Pennsylvania after passengers fought back against the hijackers. We should take this day to remember the lives of the victims and how we as a people stay strong even in the worst times. Don't lose faith, stay strong, and stay curious. The hijacked Pentagon flight was the third out of four hijacked planes that day.
But there was one more flight that never made it to either of its destinations. On September 11, 2001, United Airlines Flight 93 was hijacked by Al-Qaeda. Terrorists, but passengers and crew fought back against the hijackers after learning about the other attacks of the day. This courageous struggle prevented the plane from reaching its intended target in Washington, D.C., causing the aircraft to crash in a field near Shakespeare, Pennsylvania, killing everyone on board. The actions of those on Flight 93 are credited with saving many lives, and we thank them for their bravery and in memory of the lives that were taken.
Coming up after the break, we have our weather report and a special segment called Where Were You?
Whoa, where are you going? Where'd your ID?
I left it at home, but I don't know why that's such a big...
Hello, Conroe. I'm Landry here with your weather today. For the rest of the week, Thursday will have a high of 93, a low of 76, with a 24% chance of rain. Friday will be mostly sunny with a few clouds. There'll also be a high of 94 and a low of 74, with a 7% chance of rain. Saturday will have intervals of sunshine and clouds with a high of 93 and a low of 75, with a 6% chance of rain. Lastly, Sunday will be partly cloudy with a high of 91 and a low of 74, with an 8% chance of rain. For this week's fun fact, did you know the longest wedding veil according to Guinness World Records was stretched at a whopping 6,962 meters long? That's about 4.3 miles long. Now that's just wild. Next up, we have Counselor's Corner and a special 9/11 segment called Where Were You?
Hey Conroe Tigers, I'm Miss Orozco, lead counselor. We hope that you are having a wonderful week. A couple of different things taking place here at Conroe High over the next couple of weeks. Monday, September it's not next Monday, it is sophomore parent night, and then the following week is freshman parent night. The 29th, I believe that's a Monday, is senior financial aid night. We want to see all of our seniors coming out to the Conroe High School cafeteria to get information regarding senior financial aid. September is Suicide Awareness Month. Students and staff, please know that we are here for you in any capacity. If you or someone you know is experiencing some mental health distress, please reach out. We can help in any way possible and make sure students and staff are taken care of. We want to make sure that you are okay each and every day. This week is Purple Out Week. It's going to be on Thursday. Please, we will see everyone in their purple this week. Comes out and support our Conroe High School football team as they take on College Park this week. In addition to that, please make sure that you are keeping up with grades and attendance. We want to make sure that everyone is up to date and having a successful first 9 weeks. Conroe Tigers, thank you so much for all that you do. Have a great day.
Well, 9/11 is one of the greatest tragedies our nation has ever seen. And ironically enough, being here in a high school, when 9/11 happened, I remember I was sitting in my high school classroom. Everything stopped. The whole world stopped. Every classroom put it up on the television, and we all sat and watched in disbelief as what appeared to be our nation falling apart at the time.
I was in the U.S. Navy, stationed aboard FFG-15. That's a fast frigate. Everybody that was stationed aboard any type of ship was called back. They were afraid that whoever did it may try and attack the naval station, so we had to pull all the ships out and go out to the Atlantic Ocean and just sit there for a couple of days.
And so I was actually at the gym. Yeah, I was at the gym. All the news, like all the TVs just changed at once. And at the time they didn't know. As they were doing the analysis in the background, because they still have the live footage of the tower, the second plane hit the second tower. And everybody just stopped moving in the gym. Like, I almost fell off the treadmill because I was like, did a second plane just hit the tower?
Did you have any family members affected by this?
Thankfully, I did not have any family members affected by this.
I wouldn't say directly affected, but it changed the mission. I did lose a couple of shipmates, a couple of Navy friends who happened to be in New York at the time.
Luckily, I didn't have anybody that was personally affected by it. I know people now that were, but at the time I didn't have anybody close to me.
Now that you've been through it, do you have anything to say? Other thoughts?
Man, I hope nothing like that ever happens again. It was a tragic time, but yeah, that's a tough question. But be mindful of what's going on around you and keep your head on a swivel.
The only thing that I would like to speak about is it is unfortunate that such a great tragedy has taken place in order to bring a lot of Americans together. I feel like as Americans we should all come together and forget everybody's biases in times of peace, not just times of war.
It was really surreal when it happened. I mean, it made me like grow up and realize like I did need to pay attention to the news. I needed to like not just be like focused on my biology and science and that life, and like actually participate, know what's going on in current events, know what's going on in the world.
Coming up, we have a special interview with Kim Cantoni DiRoma, a New York resident.
In remembrance of 9/11, we have a special guest who was a New York resident when the towers were hit. Thank you for joining us today, Kimberly Cantoni DiRoma.
Thank you so much for having me, Eva.
What grade were you in on 9/11?
I was actually a freshman in high school, so it was the first full day of school, first time in a new school, new environment, and 9/11 happened. So it definitely wasn't expected as a first day of school, to say the least.
What were you doing at the time when the first tower got hit?
So I was actually sitting in homeroom, and I remember talking with my new friends, kind of talking about, how excited we were to start high school. And I remember being in that classroom for a very long period at a time. And I remember thinking, wow, is homeroom really this long? And it felt like we were there for hours. And one by one, kids started getting called down to the principal's office and never came back to the classroom. And we kind of looked at each other. We didn't know what was going on. We were like, why would people be in trouble so early on in the school year? It's only the first day. Finally, our principal did get on the loudspeaker once the second tower was hit. And he said on the loudspeaker that the Twin Towers were hit by 2 planes and that they believed they were terrorist attacks, and that school was canceled for the rest of the day. And that's when we all tried to figure out how we were getting home, and it was mass chaos at that point, trying to get home from what we had just heard.
I would like to know, have you ever been to the towers yourself?
I have, yes. So when I was 11 years old, I competed in my first pageant, and it took place at the Marriott Hotel, which was located right in between the Twin Towers. And then we had some downtime during rehearsal, so my parents took my sister and I up to the top of one of the Twin Towers. And that's where I fell in love with the city. Being able to see the entire Manhattan skyline from that point of view, for me, it was such a proud moment, even at 11 years old, to say, this is where I'm from. I was born and raised in Staten Island, so being a New York City resident and native, being able to see the city, that's where I truly fell in love with it. And I remember in that moment saying to myself, I can't wait to take my kids there one day. So imagine now, a couple of years later, the disbelief of not being able to fulfill that dream because now the Twin Towers are gone.
Yeah. So when the towers first got hit, how did you feel? Were you scared or more confused than anything?
I think the initial reaction was confused because I didn't understand at the time how a plane could just crash into a tower like that. And as I started to become more educated as to what had actually happened that morning, that confusion turned into scared, into concern. In that moment, it truly felt like we were at war because our backyard was turned into a war zone. And I remember when we did get out for school, the mass chaos that ensued in the parking lot. I vividly remember moms saying to their children, I don't know where your father is. And that sheer panic and just being afraid of the unknown of what could happen. At that time too, we had cell phones, but we really didn't have cell phones where we have it now, where there's texting, you could do FaceTime. We had a basic cell phone. And when those towers were hit, the cell service went down. So no one had any communication with anybody. So now here I am at 14 years old, school has been canceled. I can't get in touch with my parents. And now I'm like here in the parking lot seeing other parents frantic and panicking because they don't know where their significant other is. So it was just confusion turned to scared, into chaos, into panic. And then once I knew everything that had happened and was reunited with my family, it became this feeling of, okay, almost like paying your respect, like this subdued feeling of what had happened and then realizing the magnitude of what had happened.
All right. What was it like the week after, and how much has changed since then?
So even immediately the next day and leading up into the following week, New Yorkers, everyone, really all Americans, were so united. You truly felt like we were one. We were one people under God, in one country. We were the united front that we were. The next day, our first responders got to work, cleaning up the city, trying to find any survivors from the Twin Towers, just to be able to see everyone come together after this terrorist attack. It was really beautiful to see, and to be able to live in the city where it happened and to see everyone come together. You know, I know classmates of mine that have lost their parents because they were either firefighters who were one of the first to respond, or they worked in the Twin Towers and they weren't able to get out. And being able to comfort one another, be a supportive front for each other, even if you didn't lose someone personally, you knew at least one person that lost somebody that day. So to be able to come together and really just see this united front, not just New Yorkers, but of Americans. It was really beautiful to be a part of and witness.
Well, thank you for coming out and taking the time of your day to let us ask you these questions.
Thank you so much, Ava. I really appreciate it.
Tomorrow, make sure to tune in for KTIG 9. Then on Monday, we'll be off air. But on Tuesday, we'll be back with a brand new episode of Wes's World.
And remember, CHS, walk and talk and stay to the right.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Total Recap. Make sure to keep up with us on Instagram at KTIG News or on our website at ktinews.com.
Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell to get notifications so you don't miss any of KTIG's shows. Remember, CHS, all Tigers achieve.